Hi again. I hope you grabbed your next cup of coffee or your first one. So moving on to the next keynote at HR Week. Mitja Korelc is a senior territory manager for Southeast Europe at LinkedIn. He accepted this position as a challenge 6 years ago and relocated to Ireland with a mission to deliver LinkedIn's best experiences and practices to members in Southeast Europe. Please join us, Mitja.
Hello, good morning, Giovanna, and good morning, everyone else. Dobro jutro.
Welcome, dobro jutro. So you moved from Slovenia to Ireland, like the second best country in the whole world, or something like that?
No, actually, it was the story was a bit different. So I was living before in Czech Republic in Prague for I think it was 5 or 6 years, and then I moved from Prague to Dublin. A lot of friends or a lot of other people would say that I went to the second biggest capital of beer in the world, but the true story is obviously something else. But yeah, it's a well-known country.
Yeah, it's a second perspective. Okay, good luck with your presentation. We'll talk a bit later with questions.
Okay, good. So I suppose you see my screen now. So good morning, good morning again to everyone. So yeah, what we will be talking today is about the future of recruiting. So what we did here at LinkedIn is that we gather a lot of data. So based on the input from thousands of your peers, billions of data points on the LinkedIn platforms, and as well we did a lot of interviews with the talent leaders around the world, just to see how the world is changing. So we had some future of recruiting already done end of 2019, but we all know that something has happened. So a lot of the predictions had changed. So that's why we will go through those points, updated points today. So 6 predictions which we see for the future of recruiting will be as following. So instead of only looking at the external talent, you will be looking as well at the internal talent pool as the first prediction. You will be on the front lines of the diversity efforts. You will be connecting with candidates and holding hiring managers to account. You will make virtual recruiting feel as personal as possible, same as would be the in-person conversation. You will live with empathy and elevate your company's employer brand and continue to grow as well beyond the boundaries of your role. So now let's look into each of those predictions one by one and go into more details. So the first one, recruiting will hire less and build and borrow more. So it's no longer just nice to have. Internal mobility is a must-have. So partnering with learning and development teams, broader learning and development, and the broader HR, recruiting will have the opportunity to lead and build more rigorous internal mobility programs rather than leaving it to hiring managers or any ad hoc practices. Companies will also aim to catalog the employees' current skills and clearly tie them with internal job opportunities to relevant learning and development resources. This will also help employees to fill any qualification gaps. So facing unprecedented uncertainty and volatility, companies will also move away from the static jobs and siloed compartments to more towards more project-based cross-functional work. As a result, employees will also shift to new projects as the business needs to change. And this will also change the way recruiters assess and hire talents. They will prioritize, maybe as a key takeaway here, I would say that they will prioritize applicants' potential and transferable skills like adaptability and problem solving over the experience level and technical capacity to do the specific task. Here we see that we did some analysis on how many people had changed their role inside the organization year on year. And we see the number 13% when we compare it last June to this June. So 13% of people changed their job title inside the organization. So internal mobility was increased comparing to last year. Actually, just 15 minutes before this session today, we got the newsletter. The day they have the new report. So the ratio is 19.4% of people have changed the job inside the organization year on year. So absolutely much higher ratio of people who are changing the jobs inside the organization. We also see based on the survey which we did that almost half of the talent professionals expect their recruiting budget to decrease, and more than half they believe that their learning and development budget will increase or stay the same. Okay, let's go now to the second prediction. So regarding the diversity. So diversity has been leading the conversations on LinkedIn. Just in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, recruiters are 1.5 times more likely to talk about diversity compared to any other non-recruiter type of the roles, if we compare last August to this August. So now the priority will be to start translating those words into the action, because diversity is not just a feel-good initiative, but it's a business critical one. One which we believe that the recruitment teams can lead. Remote work will also vastly expand the available talent pools, allowing for greater access to candidates from the underrepresented groups and deflating the excuses the talent is not there to be found. Recruiters will not only deliver more diverse pipeline of the candidates, but also will advocate them and hold the hiring managers accountable for moving them throughout the recruitment funnel. Recruiters will also restructure the hiring process to reduce bias, from building more diverse interview panels to mandating data-driven reporting against the diversity goals. As we can see here in the survey which we did, 76% of talent professionals believe that the diversity will be a very important factor in the future of the recruiting. Okay, now let's move to the virtual recruiting is here to stay. So the prediction number 3. The view from this window looks very similar to my office in Ireland, which is very similar when I was looking through the window in the office, with all those raindrops, droplets on the window. But okay, let's go back to the topic. So companies obviously have tried the virtual interviewing or video interviewing and remote assessment in the past, but the lockdown realities has sparked them to create an end-to-end virtual recruiting process for the first time. Obviously, now they are embracing the costs and time savings as this evolution brings. So in the same way that the hybrid workforce of on-site and remote employees will become the standard, we believe that hybrid hiring process that combines virtual and in-person will also become the norm. So the challenges for companies will be twofold. First, businesses will need to look at the ways of how to strike the balance between virtual and in-person, with optimizing the candidate experience and also assessment advantages of in-person. And at the same time, yet continuing to leverage the speed and the efficiency of virtual. So when we were talking to the recruiters, it became clear that the balance between virtual and in-person could also vary based on the seniority level. For example, candidates for the entry-level positions might experience a completely virtual hiring process, while executives could continue to receive more bespoke process with on-site visits and face-to-face interviews. So as we can see here, results from the survey, 84% they believe that virtual recruiting will also continue in the future, and more than half of them will believe that the virtual recruiting will become the new standard. Okay, let's continue now to the fourth prediction. So recruiters will lead to the transition to remote work. So remote work promise more, obviously, diverse talent pools, increased productivity, retention, and also savings on salaries and facilities, and not to mention less hours spent commuting to work. But I'm sure the big cities where you live, like Belgrade, Zagreb, Sofia, Ljubljana, the morning commute is not a problem. Yeah, so it also complicates workforce planning with difficult considerations around compensation, capacity planning, company culture, technology, and employee visibility. In the survey which we did, in UK, 35% of talent professionals said that adapting to those new technologies for remote work was one of their top challenges. It was not as high when looking to the region of Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Benelux region. It was roughly around 20%. So creating the new remote work packages was the equal challenge across all those markets. Recruiters have been traditionally a strong advisor to the business when it comes to the workforce planning, and now they have the opportunity to become indispensable. They're uniquely positioned to provide essential data-driven insights about where talent is, and also give the feedback on what talent wants and needs. So knowing those concerns can give companies a very competitive advantage as they move quickly to address them. Recruiters can also help the business to weigh the benefits of anywhere in the world approach versus just a hub, or the hub strategy of targeting a couple of the sites. This approach will also make the career development and cultural adhesion more robust. So the results from the survey here were, remote jobs result in 21% more diversity among the applicants. Majority of the talent professionals believe that remote working will be important in shaping the future of the recruiting. Okay, if we now move to the employer brand, so prediction number 5 is that your employer brand will be based on empathy and actions. So with a stronger focus on the employer branding over the last months, and our need to stay engaged virtually, companies have been part of the trending conversations on LinkedIn. So in fact, company posts on LinkedIn were up 48% year on year. If we compare last June to this June, the company posts went up for almost 50% just across the Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So if you look forward, a high percentage of talent professionals in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, they expect their employer branding budget to increase or at least stay the same. And instead of just showcasing the company products, benefits, office in companies' marketing materials, employers will draw the attention by what they are doing to support the employees, customers, and communities in the times of the crisis. So from partnership with nonprofits to employee assistance programs, the action companies will take that will also shape their employer brand for the future. A candidate impression of a company will also be heavily influenced by their everyday interactions, which they have with the recruiters on the ground. Recruiters will be more empathetic, accommodating, and understanding of candidates in their outreach. So by putting people first, employers will show, not tell only what their company is about. So if you look here at the results of the survey, is that more than half of the talent professionals, they believe their employer branding budget will increase. And as we said, there was a huge increase in the company posts year on year on LinkedIn. And if you look at the company engagement, it also grew 30% on the company posts looking year on year. Okay, and now let's move to the last prediction. So recruiters will build new skills to align that with the business. So recruitment teams has been stretched and refashioned, obviously, in the last recent months, and that's most likely to continue. From dealing with the hiring slowdowns, and obviously in some industry there were unprecedented peaks, to align with the ever-shifting business priorities, the one constant for the recruiters will be the constant need for adaptability. While some recruiters will hire for different roles, different locations, different teams, as needs change, many others will be asked to go even beyond the hiring. So in fact, what we see that the fastest growing skills for the recruiters is a personal development, so the ability to add the new skills. This is demonstrated as well by the increase of the average monthly learning time of the recruiters in Europe, Middle East, and Africa by 1.4 times higher than any other average learner in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So recruiters will continue to serve as a bridge between the company's hiring needs and the other key HR initiatives. We already seen the rapid increase in the skills like diversity, inclusion, decision-making, HR, and HR strategy. Those skills were added to the recruiters' profiles. These new skills will also help to bring some more clarity to talent data, reshape the employer branding, and also fine-tune the virtual recruiting process. As you can see here on the right, those were the fastest growing skills for the recruiters in 2020. So personal development, diversity, talent pipeline, decision making, HR strategy, and all in all, adaptability is one of the important skills for the recruiters in the future. So if I just recap what we spoke about, we have those 6 predictions for the future of recruiting. We said about the internal mobility. You have the absolutely most fresh data from 15 minutes or 20 minutes ago. 20% more of internal mobility comparing year to year. Second prediction is diversity. Then we have the virtual recruiting, remote work, employer brand, and the new skills for the recruiters. Okay, so now let's move. So we checked what we believe will be the future of recruiting, but now let's move to the how to lead a people first company. So when we were checking the movements on LinkedIn and everything what is happening with the global economy, we believe that obviously there are multiple transformations, and if we silo them into the 3 main one, that would be first one, digital transformation. Obviously, if you look at machine learning, AI, automation, that's absolutely transformation which is having a huge impact on majority of the companies. Second one would be the workforce transformations. When we talk about the skills gap, diversity, inclusion groups, how all the skills, let's say the skills which we have today, and those skills could become indispensable in the period of the next 5 years. So how important is the constant learning and growing? And then obviously the third one, the recent one, is about the remote and the flexible type of the work, diversity, and also the location based. So top talent is no longer location constrained. So we will look at those 3 main transformations more in the details and what we believe that should be the top HR priorities when addressing those transformations. So as we said, the first one, manage the remote and hybrid workforce. Then we have the diversity. Third one, mental and health wellness. Fourth one is the constant learning and upskilling of the workforce. Internal mobility, employer brand, using the people analytics for the decision making, and how to expand the talent pipeline. So now if we go to each of them into the more details, here on the right you will see some bullet points which we believe are the top are the points which you can take to address those transformations. But if I just focus on 1 or 2, so managing a hybrid workforce, if I look just at, let's say, employer where I work, what they did is that every single month the employees got the survey to give the feedback on how they feel about working from home, what were their main challenges, how they address the challenges. So it was very increased communication between the workforce and the HR team. So I believe that's super important going forward as well, to communicate with your teams, with your employees, and get the constant feedback on how we can improve this new model. And then as the second one, obviously partner with the teams outside of HR, enabling the employees having the right tools to be able to perform well in their work. We did also the global survey, so majority or more than half of the organization, they believe they will be adopting the different type or more flexible work from home policies for all workers. I believe that every company in every country need to also look what are the implications on the insurance of their employees and also the state taxes in that. So that would be one of the obstacles to go through, or some of the areas where we need to review how to continue. Okay, second one is in regards to the diversity and the inclusion. We spoke about this already before, so just briefly, I believe building a diverse interview panel could help avoid cliches when doing the interviews. Don't rely only on the referrals. And maybe one of the most important, lead by examples, making sure that employees from different backgrounds have the role models in the leadership of your company. So also, if you look at the LinkedIn data, so if you look at the posts which were done on LinkedIn and the diversity-related topics, hashtags, they were more than doubled if we compare last year to this year. Okay, so wellness needs. I believe that here we will not discover any new hot water. General wellness, I believe it's super important, not just the health on general, like to be active, to do sport and to eat healthy and so on. I believe that's pretty straightforward, but as well I would mention here that most probably the mental wellness is super important for the employees. Sometimes when we have to shift from face-to-face meetings all to virtual meetings, I must say that having a 5-6 hours per day of virtual calls, virtual calls could be much more difficult than having them in person. That's something what we saw on LinkedIn as well. When we looked at employee health related topics, they were obviously very high like after the March this year, top went really high. And in the survey we did, which is very high percentage from my perspective, more than half of the employees, they were experiencing the burnout, moving from office work to work from home. Okay, then about the upskilling and constant learning of the employees. If I move to, if I go to the point where we did the analysis of the skills companies need most in the 2020, as you can see, the top 5 soft skills were creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, EI. There's one more new soft skills we just popped out, is actually the communication, because obviously a lot of us before, we were in touch with employees, partners, companies on a daily basis, but now majority of that had to be done remotely. So communication was one of the most trending topics when we looked at the LinkedIn Learning usage. And then I believe it's no secret or no surprise when we're looking at the hard skills. Majority of them are in are the digital skills. So programming languages, as you can see here on the right.
Our time is up. We have one question for you, or if you have several more slides, you can continue. So it's up to you.
If you just give me a minute, I'll go really quickly through the rest of them.
Yeah, sure. So we'll just add up your presentation.
Okay. So internal mobility. If the main point, what I can say here, what we did, so when people change the jobs internally, they stay longer in the company, as you can see from this graph. So when we analyze the global population on LinkedIn, we see that when people are changing the jobs, they stay also longer time in the company than people who don't have any internal moves. Employer brand. Obviously, use your employees. They could be a very good ambassador of your company brand, and how to expand the message across the networks. And how to expand the talent pipeline. Obviously, remote posting, remote job posting, huge increase on LinkedIn, and I'm sure also globally. So this can bring to more diverse talent pool of candidates and also attract people who prioritize flexibility.